Thanks for joining me again this week. Suddenly this week, there was a lot of pressure to end the shutdown. It came from the White House, the Senate, and even the corporate world. The CEO of Delta said Thanksgiving travel would be okay, provided a bill to reopen the government passed this week. The Senate-led agreement ignored the catastrophic implications of legislative proposals that threaten our community. We need a solution that genuinely addresses the healthcare crisis. Failing to act now means that many working Americans and those who depend on government assistance will face an increase in the cost of health insurance starting in January. The rising costs associated with allowing the Affordable Health Care Act premiums to expire will impact every family trying to make ends meet. For some families, it can mean being asked to pay 50% of their income toward health care or worse, seeing millions of people nationwide choose to forego health care coverage. There are around 50,000 residents in the county who spend about half their monthly pay on rent, and now keeping their health care could be just as big a burden. In fact, it would be an impossible burden. There is also the devastating impact the new fiscal year will have on the civil service ranks. We have seen dedicated employees fired after years of service through draconian reductions in force or RIFs. I am glad that the continuing resolution included temporary protections to reverse those RIFs and to protect more RIFs, but that protection ends in January 30th. We have to go further. Let's remember that while the shutdown complicated our situation, it was already dire. Marylanders have already been struggling to pay their bills due to soaring grocery prices, and soon it will be higher energy costs, putting a strain on family budgets. Our local economy has seen an increase in unemployment numbers, and some business owners have already decided that it makes more sense to close their doors than to struggle on. I, like so many, are very concerned about this compromise to end the shutdown. What did those who caved get for it? Nothing has been resolved on the healthcare premiums, and without that, thousands of our residents and millions across the country are facing potential enormous cost increases. We already have estimates that at least 10,000 more residents could need help from the county clinics rather than carrying healthcare coverage themselves. Additionally, this is nothing more than a promise to hold a future vote by mid-December on extending healthcare tax credits. This problem needs to be solved and solved now, not kicked down the road. The deal failed to deliver any new protections for working families, no additional resources for struggling communities, and nothing that would justify the harm caused to millions of people who live paycheck to paycheck. I think what angers me most is that the sole basis for defunding Americans who already struggle in the most expensive, but not the world's best, healthcare system is to give tax cuts to billionaires. That's it. It's not about efficiency, not about better ways of doing things. It's simply about working people in this country receiving a benefit that stands in the way of billionaires paying even lower taxes than they already do. It's a sick joke to consider the following issues resolved, as some claim. The rescinding of 4,000 layoff notices that went out in October are on the verge of being rolled back, but RIFs are only postponed until January 30th, when this madness could resume. Food stamps are salvaged, but only through September 30th. In other words, instead of reaching common ground and giving people some peace and sense of normalcy, it postpones these battles to a few months in the future. Food and healthcare should be areas of common ground, something that is a baseline for civil society, not a sacrificial lamb to placate billionaires. It's a true testament to the power of wealth and money in this country that politicians are so ready to harm so many people in order to benefit so few, particularly when those few can buy anything in the world they want. This failed compromise, led by 8 Senate Democrats, does not include necessary guardrails to stop the president from ignoring the law and withholding funds for important priorities. As this federal budget debate continues, we must demand the congressional leaders put forth an agreement that actually holds this administration accountable to the needs of working Americans, not just wealthy tycoons. On Tuesday, I joined a group of volunteers from my office and other county departments to help deliver food to those in greatest need. This food distribution takes place regularly through the Christian Reformed Church in Silver Spring. We joined volunteers from nearby synagogue, Catholic church, and school kids who were volunteering. We were at this distribution center for a 2-hour window of service as approximately 800 families were served. This distribution center was one of 57 organizations throughout the county that received over $4 million recently. These funds were not from the proposed appropriation from the council, but rather from the $23.5 million that we allocated toward food budgets in the FY26 budget. We heavily invested in our food assistance network during the pandemic, but after that subsided, the demand for food resources did not disappear. In fact, it largely increased. The disruption to SNAP payments attributed to the shutdown directly contributed to a new surge in demand for food resources. And let me remind you that the state of Maryland is spending $65 million for half of the November SNAP payments as the federal government continues to fight orders from a judge to fulfill its obligation. The director of our Office of Food Systems Resilience, Heather Bruskin, joined my media briefing this week to discuss the position we're in right now because of the SNAP delays.
It's all happening in real time, and I think the most challenging part of this is that it is difficult to directly communicate with SNAP participants. We have 68,000 residents here in the county alone that benefit from SNAP each month. And so because it's all been happening quickly, I personally don't have information, and I think we don't at the county level have information as to how the partial benefits were calculated. I think that's been part of the challenges of it going back and forth between there's full funding, there's partial funding. But what I would encourage residents who've been impacted to do is either reach out to our county's Office of Eligibility and Support Services, the navigation team, or the Montgomery County Food Council. All of these organizations have trained experts who can help families explore what benefits they have available, and we'll keep them updated as best they can on what resources are forthcoming. But I think that just underscores why the sort of piecemeal approach to trying to backfill these critical benefits is really difficult, and we can't do it without partnership from the federal government.
Last August, the Office of Food Systems Resilience launched the MC Groceries program. This program is a partnership with Instacart that helps families who don't qualify for federal assistance, but who still struggle to afford groceries in a high-cost region like ours, an area known as the SNAP Gap. Over the last year, we've provided more than $1 million in grocery stipends to working families, giving them the ability to shop where they want and to buy the food that their families actually want to eat. We have found that this extra spending power allows families to buy essential items for their families that they would normally forego, such as protein and produce. I'm pleased that we are expanding the program from more than 500 families to over 700 households. Most families enroll in the program have at least 2 children and have taken advantage of food delivery. That means more flexibility for struggling families and an ability to devote more time and energy elsewhere. Data shows a 7% increase in employment for families enrolled in the program. This is just one example of how the money we spend on food resources is paying off. This week we received a preview of winter with an Arctic temperature blast across the county, which brought our first extreme cold alerts of the year and the first message from Alert Montgomery this season, warning users about a freeze warning affecting us. When the wind chill dips below freezing, the county ups its efforts to help more people get inside. This year, despite our efforts to help families experiencing homelessness, we continue to serve a high number of people. There are more unsheltered families now than there were in January last year during the annual point of time count. This blast of cold weather serves as a timely reminder to prepare for the extreme weather conditions. Our Office of Emergency Planning and Homeland Security collaborates with every department of the county to ensure the public receives a cohesive message about how severe weather affects them. The winter will bring challenges for many as heating costs are on the rise. Last week in our Montgomery Update newsletter, I shared tips to people about how to conserve energy and potentially save money before their energy bills arrive. I want to remind people to utilize the services that are available now through the energy companies to break up payments or find relief on their energy costs. Advance notice of an emergency, even just a few minutes, can make a big difference in your safety. That's why we created the Alert Montgomery system to help everyone be better prepared for the dangers they might face. Another important step is putting planning into action. At montgomerycountymd.gov/make-a-kit, you can find information to help you and your family prepare for a range of emergencies that could impact you. When I became county executive, I moved our community conversations about the budget from after the budget was created to well before my recommendations were submitted to the County Council in mid-March. This has allowed us to incorporate more public feedback into the budget that gives residents and our community partners a greater say in how our operating funds are used. On Monday night, I was in front of an African American community for a budget forum focused on their needs. On Thursday afternoon, the audience was older adults from Leisure World and other communities. I'm proud of the way we've expanded our reach to connect with more people. We've actually scheduled 12 community conversations this year, with the last 2 discussions taking place next week, one for Asian American Pacific Islander community members and the other for the Silver Spring region. The budget reflects our community's goals and values. I hope residents make the time to take advantage of one of these remaining opportunities to participate and be heard. I was very disappointed, but not surprised, that Montgomery County's Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee advanced the University Boulevard Corridor Plan Monday on a 2-to-1 vote. Council members Andrew Friedson and Natalie Fani Gonzalez voted to move forward with this plan to the full council without adequately addressing racial equity concerns and environmental concerns or the serious impacts on neighborhoods. A huge issue is that this effort continues the false narrative that we need to rezone our existing neighborhoods in order to accommodate future growth. We already have planned more housing than we are projected to need by 2050. And most of that zoning is closer to transit and future jobs than is the University Boulevard corridor. This corridor plan is nothing more than another giveaway to developers who think that your neighborhoods should become the next greenfields. This is not the end of the matter either. Just so you know, Park and Planning is ready to advance more corridor plans that aim to change many neighborhoods in this county for the worse. I want to thank Council Vice President Jawando for listening to the communities and raising important concerns during the committee review process. I will have more comments on this plan as we look further into what the council will be voting on soon. The county will be hosting a document shredding event 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on America Recycles Day, Saturday, November 15th at Montgomery College campus in Rockville. These events were stopped in response to the pandemic, but the public said they wanted them back. And here they are. It's free to participate, and it's open to every resident in our county, regardless of where you live or your financial resources. Every ton of paper that we keep out of the landfill or the incinerator helps us move closer to our zero waste and climate goals. Recycled paper gets sent to facilities where it's turned into new products. That saves trees, conserves energy, and reduces greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to climate change. Disposing of your personal documents carefully is important because they contain identification information. That's what identity thieves are after. People deserve a simple and responsible way to dispose of their personal documents. If residents have old tax records, bills, or files stored in the box at home, please let everyone know that this is their opportunity to dispose of them safely and responsibly. Next Saturday, the community will be out once again for the Thanksgiving Day Parade, which starts at 10 a.m. in Silver Spring at the Arts and Entertainment District. The parade will begin on Ellsworth Drive and Fenton Street, then go to South on George Avenue to Silver Spring Avenue. This parade brings out the best of who we are as a community. Every year, I see the streets lined with people from end to end supporting our high school bands, cultural dance groups, and live performers. This year's parade is also going to be the first major public event that we will be promoting the county's 250th anniversary. Next year, on September 6th, we will celebrate this special anniversary since being created as this jurisdiction. Last weekend, I attended the Montgomery County History Conference at Montgomery College in Germantown. It was a very well attended event with fact-based and honest presentations on our county's history. I'm sure the president would not have been happy. I want to thank and acknowledge Matt Logan and the Executive Director of Montgomery History for inviting me. There's a lot to learn about this county's history and a great value in not whitewashing what has happened here generations ago. It is essential as a building block in our goal to achieve racial equity and striving for social justice. I hope you're able to see the Operation Greenlight bus that's on the streets right now in honor of the veterans. The county unveiled the bus this week ahead of Veterans Day. I saw a friend at the ceremony I've known since my days at the University of Maryland campus. He was returning from the service in Vietnam, and I was engaged in protests against the war. It was a humanizing experience in a very stormy time. Soldiers do not choose to fight. They're ordered to. They don't vote for the wars, but they do what they're called to do. The bravery they show and the dedication to our country should never be overlooked, even when we don't agree with the politics that control their missions. When you see a green light in our community or the decorated specialty bus we have on the streets, it should be a reminder to thank a veteran. So that wraps it up for today. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll be back again next week. And if you're a federal employee who's not working yet, I hope you're back to work soon.